Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today, this is going to be a random weekly reading vlog. So today is Monday, January 13th, and I just felt like now is a great time to actually maybe start doing a reading vlog actually. Although full on disclosure though, it is like past 2:30 a.m. and I am filming this intro now because I don't feel like filming an intro for later on in the day. So for this reading vlog, I think I'm only going to take it to Friday. This is just gonna be a few days because I'm just trying to get my reading momentum going, honestly. Because so far in January, I've only read one book. I've only finished reading, actually, I should say, one book. And then I did not finish reading 4 books in a row. I can't remember now if it's 3 or 4 books. But yeah, I've pretty much been DNFing a lot, and I'm just like, okay, we need to be like finishing some books. I'm glad I'm being a little bit more ruthless on what I want to read and what I don't want to read, but I also need to sit down and really stick through some books. So I already have books that I did start reading and I've been further into, and then there's books that I haven't started reading but I want to finish. Now, we'll see if I end up finishing those books in these next few days. I kind of hope I can. Not gonna lie, it's quite ambitious. So I'm gonna kind of go quickly with the books that I'm hoping to focus. Alright, salutations y'all. So, it is indeed later on, Monday. It is about to be 6:45 p.m. And I'm here to let y'all know that I did finish reading January's by Olivia Blake. So, yeah, I did mention before, that I was only I only had like 2 short stories left. And I have to say, I did DNF the penultimate short story because I wasn't really intrigued with that one, to be quite honest. I was not interested too much in that one. But then the final short story was actually my favorite short story. So let's actually really start talking about January's. So this short story collection is actually, it's quite a weird one. So again, like I said before, some of the stories were published in other publications, like other short story collections that were anthologies. And then some of this is also just newly original work. Personally, for me, I do not know which one's which. I do not know which one's original, which one has been published before, or whatever. But I have to say, as far as the collection and as a whole, like cohesively as a collection, I don't particularly think this is a very strong collection of short stories, even though I did enjoy most of these short stories. Like, I think my favorite short stories for sure was The Wish Bridge, was the very first short story. Oh, also though, I forgot to mention this as well, but this short story collection is actually split into 4 parts, and each part is named after the season. So spring, summer, what was it? Autumn? Yeah, we chose autumn, winter. So despite the fact that this short story collection is called January's, this is not a winter related, beginning of the new year related kind of like collection of short stories at all. It's just, I don't know why actually it's called January's, to be quite honest. Maybe it's because of like the changing tide of like magic, love, and betrayal, because that's, again, these are stories about love, magic, and betrayal. And it definitely is like that. There's a lot of these short stories about love, a lot of these have to do with magic, and there's also elements of betrayal. Some of these short stories are just all about betrayal, but also betrayal through love and all that stuff. And I do like those ones. But yeah, I just want to let y'all know it's split into 4 sections. So The Wish Bridge is the very first short story in this collection, and it's in spring. I also did really enjoy The House, which is the shortest short story for the entire collection, and that's for summer. And actually, it was actually in the format of like wedding vows, actually. So it's really talk about like marriage and what like and the metaphor of marriage using a house. I actually found it to be the most interesting, and I really, really love that one. Let's see, for autumn, I think my favorite story was How to Dispel Friends and Curse People. It's a very weird short story. It's actually very absurd. It's in a way of like poetry, but it's not very poetic, to be quite honest. It's not a poetic poem. It's actually quite absurd, actually. But yeah, I don't know. I actually think that one was funny. That was actually just a really, really funny short story that's in the form of a poem. And then I think my favorite short story for the winter section was A Year in January, which is the very last short story in the collection. So we started off in a banger with a really good short story, and then we ended the collection with a very good short story as well. And as far as my least favorites, I think the spring ones actually been pretty cohesive. The summer one, I think the only one I didn't really like was Pre-Existing Condition. I just didn't get it. Like, I was like, what are we doing here? I mean, I didn't fully understand To Make a Man, because that one's actually based on like Greek mythology, actually. And I didn't understand that one until we got to the end. But I was like, you know what? It's still pretty good. I thought that was just still a good one, even though I didn't fully understand it. Pre-Existing Condition, though, I really just did not like that one. I'm just like, okay, I don't get what we're doing here. Don't really like it. Animation Games was also kind of fun, though. That was a fun one. So summer was a mixed bag, but for the most part, I enjoy the short stories. Autumn was a weird one. It's actually the shortest section, actually. So we definitely have we do have like 4 short stories for autumn, but they were so short. Monster Love was very much anxiety inducing for me, because it actually was talking really more about like motherhood, and it definitely felt very anxious. It was a very much anxious short story. Again, How to Dispel Friends and Curse People, that was just a very funny one. Fates and Consequences was actually pretty boring for something that's also like Greek myth-like, but also I'm just like, this was actually pretty boring. We couldn't do anything about that, whatever. And then Sous Vide, which is French for vacuum, I thought that was kind of interesting, but I also didn't particularly love it. What did I thought about it, actually? Let me, because I also wrote down some of my initial thoughts while I was reading it physically. Yeah, I said here, I feel like I am missing some key information. Could have been a few pages longer. Maybe it's one of her older short stories, because again, I just didn't fully understand this one. Sous Vide, I'm like, what are we doing here? It's also the only short story that actually does not deal with quotation marks. So if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I need quotation mark to mark for dialogue and all that shit. Well, this particular one does not have any quotation marks. So if that bothers you, sorry, I'll just let you know about that. But I don't know, I don't particularly understand it. And not because of the lack of quotation marks. Again, I have the audiobook and I was happy reading it. But I just really didn't understand what we're trying to say with this short story, honestly. I was like, okay, whatever. And then winter, I actually did enjoy most of the short stories. Sensual Tales for Carnal Pleasures, I really, really enjoyed that one. Chaos Theory, I think I showed you on the B-roll. I started reading it. I didn't particularly, this one just did not intrigue me. I actually just did not finish reading that short story. It's literally the longest short story in this collection, like as the entire book as a whole. And yeah, I didn't particularly care for Chaos Theory. It's more of a multiverse assassin who has to make sure her other selves in these other universes kill this one particular person in their universe for balance or type shit. And I'm like, I don't really care for it. It's like, I'm not here to be for all the multiverse shenanigans. Especially for how long the short story was going to be. I was like, no, I'm not reading that. So I literally just skipped it. I stopped at a certain point and I was like, you know what, I'm done. And then I read the final one, A Year in January, and I really loved that one. It actually reminded me of Alone with You in the Ether. So if you're a fan of Alone with You in the Ether, then I think you actually would enjoy A Year in January. So yeah, we started off really strong. We have some fun things here, things I really enjoy, ones I definitely did not enjoy or I understood. And then we ended up with the one that I really, really loved. But yeah, as far as this entire collection as a whole, it's not the most cohesive collection as a whole, because again, I think Olivia Blake considered this as like a mixtape, which like it definitely write like one, as far as we have things that kind of work together but also don't work fully together cohesively into a collection. But I don't know, it is what it is. It exists now. And I am giving this entire collection of short stories 4 stars. I do recommend checking them out, of course, when it comes to short story collections, or even just short stories in general, whether it's a collection or anthology. Some are going to work for you, some are not. Now, as far as reading this collection, if you want to taste test Olivia Blake as an author, I do think this is actually the best way to, best one to start, instead of like reading like her full-fledged novels. Whether that's the Alice 6, Alone with the Ether, One for My Enemy, Masters of Death, or even her more upcoming releases like Gifted and Talented, or even Girl Dinner that's coming out later in this year, I would just say that this is a pretty good start, because Olivia Blake does like to write things very differently. Like, each short story is not quite like the other ones. Like each of them are quite unique, and Olivia Blake like just likes writing things very differently. She doesn't want to like to write the same kind of thing over and over again, even if you find maybe an underlying themes that are similar, but overall the books are very, very different. So if you want to taste test like her writing style, her authorial voice, I definitely do recommend checking out January's first and just, you know, taste testing these short stories to see which ones work for you. And then if you want to try her full-fledged novels, then you can figure out, well, are any of these short stories anyone similar to her full-fledged novels? Most likely not, but yeah, there's definitely a particular way that Olivia Blake likes to write that I found very interesting when she does some short stories that I think will be interesting if you just want to just taste test. So yeah, I do recommend January if you have not checked it out, and especially for taste testing Olivia Blake's writing and such. And I do also recommend the audiobook. The audiobook is actually really great because of the multiple narrators. So each narrator does narrate a short story in here. Even Olivia Blake herself does narrate one. I think it is The House, though. Highly recommend the audiobook for sure, as a way to go about it. Honestly, when it comes to Olivia Blake's works, I do recommend just listening to the audiobooks of them, actually, because for some reason, Macmillan Audio just knows how to like find the right narrators to go with her stories. So when in doubt, I recommend an audiobook. Olivia Blake, audiobook. I just recommend it. It depends. It depends on the story. But I definitely do recommend January's. That's all I gotta say. I definitely talked a lot about January's because I had a lot to say about these short stories. So apologies for this very long update. But this is pretty much the only thing I was reading today. And I think that's gonna be the only thing I'm going to be reading today because later on today, I will be watching a football game. And I don't think I'll be reading afterwards. At least not right afterwards. But tomorrow, though, I will be updating y'all on whatever I'm reading tomorrow. I actually recently just got notified, actually, for the audiobook of, what was it? Graveyard Shift by Emil Rio, and I'm kind of actually curious to check it out. It looks short. Actually, I'm thinking maybe tomorrow I'll just like focus on just like reading really short things, because I do have other books I'm borrowing from my library that are also short. I actually kind of want to read all those books in like one day, because why not? So maybe my next update might be pretty long because I am now going to borrow this audiobook, if you will let me. Yes, now I have the audiobook for Graveyard Shift because I've been wanting to read that book for a while now, and now I finally got the audiobook. So that's going to be a possible my next read, and probably some other things as well that are also short. So yes, I will definitely be updating y'all tomorrow on what I've been reading, and yeah, we'll definitely be reconvening very shortly for y'all, but tomorrow for me. Salutations, y'all. It is Tuesday night. It is 8:30 p.m. exactly, actually. And I am a little bit tired, so I don't want to really make this update very long, even though I did finish reading 3 books today. Albeit they were short books, but hey, 3 books, 3 books. So y'all saw I did finish reading Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mossab Abu Toha. So this is a collection of poems written by Mossab when he was living in Gaza, and even when he was living outside of Gaza. I think he was living in the United States at first, yeah, and then I think he's recently moved back to Palestine, I think. But he's written most of these poems while he was living in Palestine, specifically in Gaza, and when he was living in the United States, reflecting on his experience being in Gaza and then being living in the United States as well. I gotta say, this is a very good poetry collection. I don't really rate nonfiction, so I don't rate the poetry collection, but if I were to rate it, I think I would rate it about 4.5 stars. This is really, really good. I did really like his poetry writing, and yeah, these poems were just really, really emotional and very reflective as well. So very much looking forward to actually reading his other poetry collection. I think Force of Noise. That was a collection that came out last year, and I also know he had a collection, or at least he wrote poems for a collection of poetry a few years ago. This was just really good. Highly recommend. Not rated, but if I were to rate it, it would really be 4 stars. And then I moved on to The Haunting of Tramcar 015 by P.J. Clark. I was thinking about making this a hybrid read like I did with January's, but then I was like, no, I'm tired. Like, I literally read Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear like throughout the night. Like, I did not go to bed at all, y'all. Yeah, y'all, I did not go to sleep. I was staying up reading this poetry collection, but also pacing myself because it was really, really emotionally and heavy. Like, it's dark, y'all. So I had to take my time with that. And then I was reading The Haunting of Tramcar 015. I did think I took a break in the middle of reading the novella, and then I took like a 3-hour nap. So now I'm feeling tired now, which makes sense. But yeah, this was actually a really nice novella. So this is a novella that takes place literally before a Master Gen. This is set in the Dead Gen universe, so this is the short story before, like this is actually not short story. This is the novella like right before a Master Gen, which I've read 2 years ago now. Yeah, 2023 actually, yeah, and loved, and I really did enjoy this novella. We're following different characters than like a Master Gen. We do get mentions of characters that we see in the Master of Gen, but the characters in this novella, they're fine. I don't really particularly care for their characters. They're not the most interesting characters, and honestly there's not much actual character work in this particular novella. It's very much heavily focused on this haunting of a tram car. What is haunting it? How do we get the spirit or whatever to leave? Yeah, and just going through all that. So yeah, it's still like a really good novella though. It's P.J. Clark's just usual writing and world building within this world that I still enjoy. It's just that my problem was really the characters, honestly. I was like, I just didn't care for the characters as much. But it didn't lower my rating too much. I did give this like a solid 4 stars. I do recommend the audiobook. I think the narrator was a fine enough job, but not like the greatest job, honestly, for the narration, but solid enough for me to continue reading. So yeah, glad though I read it, and I'm looking forward to read more. I mean, I just need more in that universe, you know? I just need more. And then I did start and also finished reading Graveyard Shift by Amarillo. This was a novella that came out late last year. This is a horror thriller where we're following 5 people who routinely meet up in the cemetery at night, and they find that there's a grave. There's an open grave, and they're just like, that was not there before. What's going on here? And I do have to say, I did read If We Were Villains, what was it now, 3 years ago? Oh my gosh, time is flying. Yeah, I read that in 2022, and I did really enjoy If We Were Villains. This is definitely a weaker one. This is definitely Emma Rio's weakest one. Granted though, she's only written like 2 books, okay? If We Were Villains, and then now this novella. So there's only 2 works, and this is definitely the weakest one. I don't think, like, I did enjoy the novella because like Emma Rio's writing is just really good. I will continue to really enjoy Amarillo's writing. I also like the kind of horror that we have in here. We do have, this is definitely fungal horror like it looks like in the cover. Very much fits that. And yeah, it was just really weird stuff. It did remind me of like What Moves the Dead by T. Fisher and even Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Marin Garcia. But those works worked with the horror and the kind of like commentary regarding that a lot stronger than this one. Like thematically is not very strong for me. It definitely made things at least a little bit interesting to keep my intrigue up, but the characters also in this novella were not there for me either. Yeah, I wasn't quite here for the characters. Besides, the only thing about the characters I really thought was intriguing was what kept them up at night. And I think that makes sense for me because, well, I literally did not go to sleep. I literally stood up all night. So I was like, well, are these people insomniacs or what? I mean, there's definitely one person in particular who's definitely an insomniac. Other people is just other things going on, like mental illnesses and all that other stuff that keep them up at night. But then there's only one person And then group of 5, that's actually an insomniac. So yeah, but yeah, this one I'm just like, as a novella, you don't really quite work. Because especially the pacing is definitely a little bit egregious because it does move very, very fast. Because again, I said it's a horror thriller. So all the events that happen in here takes place within a night. And I'm just like, okay, like we go from like midnight to like early in the morning. I mean, I like that in theory as a concept that works. But I think this particular plot required us to slow down a little bit. And we also need to live a few more pages. So this one just did not quite work as a novella, but because of the type of horror and the writing style, I did give this one 3.5 stars. Also, I did like the audiobook as well because I did listen to it via audio, so the audiobook production also helped for me. But yeah, this was definitely, this was not that great of a novella, but I enjoyed it enough, so that's why it's like 3.5 instead of a 3. That's where I'm at right now. I might change my mind on the rating, but that's why I feel like for right now. And that's it, really. That's all the books that I read today alone. Like, I started and finished reading all those books today within like 24 hours. So that's what happened. Now, as far as tonight, I'm definitely done reading for the night. I think I'm done listening to audiobooks though. We'll see about tomorrow because I do want to finish one more book for this vlog since now I've finished like 4. So like I really do want to finish another book. So we shall see what that other book is. I do have a physical book for my library that I want to read. But also though I do have a book that I am currently reading for a different vlog that I also want to prioritize as well. Especially when the audiobook is due sooner. But I own the physical copy. I'm just borrowing the audiobook. So like I don't need to read it right away. But also, I don't know. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do. And I still have the e-arc, of Water Moon that I still want to read. That I also really want to finish too. So, I don't know. The point is, the goal actually is that by Friday, by the time I'm ending this vlog, we are finishing another book. Well, I'm finishing another book, I should say. So, we shall see if that actually comes into fruition. But I will definitely let y'all know about that tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Thursday or even Friday. It depends. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? Let's just figure all that stuff out later. But anyways, y'all will see me really, really soon. But I will talk to you all in a day or 2.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun, as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just 2 hearts running wild. Never sleep, never stop, as we shout from the top. We're gonna be 2 hearts running wild.
Alright, Salutations, y'all. It is literally Friday evening, so I did not update y'all since I think Tuesday. And there are a couple reasons for that. One, I didn't feel like updating. I didn't have much to update y'all on, except for whatever I showed y'all in the B-roll. But also, I think I got burnt out from reading. Not gonna lie. I did read I did finish reading 3 books on Tuesday within a 24-hour period. And I did stay up late and literally stood up all night to read books. And then, yeah, I think my body was just like, okay, we need a break. So Wednesday, I did do a little bit of reading. Then Thursday, I did do a little bit of reading as well. But I was literally very, very tired yesterday. I was mostly, I spent most of my time in bed. So I didn't really have much B-roll content to show y'all for Thursday because I was just really, really tired. And then Friday, I continued reading, didn't start nothing. I have nothing to show y'all as far as updates as well, even for B-rolls. So I was like, well, there ain't no point now. So let me just catch you all up on Wednesday through today. I want to let y'all know though that in the past few days, my members of my family have been feeling sick. I don't know. It hasn't been COVID, I don't think, but it's definitely like a cold or like the flu or something going around. My baby sister caught it at first, so she was sick and missed the first couple of days of this week, especially for school and things. So she's been sick. I think she's still recovering from that. Then my other siblings was feeling sick as well because I caught that, and I was like, nah, I am not trying to catch no sick of any kind. So just pretty much maneuvering around this house, dealing with people who are sick. And I was like, nah, not gonna happen. So I had to deal with all that. So while I was doing with all of that though, I did start 2 books on Wednesday, which I think I showed you on the B-roll. And I did finally start reading Changing All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. This one, I think this is his debut novel. Yes, this is a dystopian queer lit fic book where we're following incarcerated folk who are pretty much in this gladiator-like style kind of arena place so that they can fight and pretty much be entertaining to rich and powerful people, and they can hopefully be able to win their freedom and no one can be incarcerated. At least that's just how I've heard about this book. I've never read anything by this author before. I do know that he has written short stories. I think he has a short story collection called Friday Black that I've never checked out. But I'm kind of curious about it. So I did try to read this book, I think sometime last year. I didn't get really far into it, honestly. Like, I think I was trying to read the prologue chapter. And at the time, I wasn't quite as interested. This time around, though, I'm a little bit more interested, but also not at the same time. At least I've heard from reviews that, you know, maybe they feel a little bit distant from the characters. But I think it also makes sense, though, given on where they are, their life circumstances. Like, I mean, they're literally fighting gladiator-like style. Like, they're literally killing other incarcerated folk in order to, I guess, be entertaining. Anyway, like, they're killing folk to be entertaining so that they can be able to buy their way to be free. Not really the best mental space to be. All I know is that I did read the prologue chapter, and I think I've read only the first 2 chapters into part 1. So it's not very long. The chapters aren't long or anything. Although I'm not too sure how I feel with the structure of it personally. I'm just like, okay. I do think it's a little bit more, is it omniscient? Is that what this is? Omniscient third person? I think this is supposed to be like omniscient third person. And I don't particularly love that, honestly. But I think it makes sense though, just to get a sense of like all these varying characters we're gonna be following and see who makes it through and all that. But the prologue did indeed intrigue me, so I want to continue on with it. The problem though is that I'm not really intrigued with it reading with my eyeballs, so I did go on Spotify so that I can borrow the audiobook. I think I'm going to stick with this being an audiobook read, but I also don't know how long I'm going to be reading this because I don't know, it's not really quite grasping my intention to keep reading. I'm kind of like, you know, this is solid, I guess, but like I'm not super inclined to really keep reading it, which sucks though because this is actually for my 6 books by 6 friends. I forgot who recommended it to me, and I've been wanting to read this for a while now, but unfortunately this is just, I don't know. It's fine for now. I mean, again, I did just start it, so we'll see. And also, to be fair though, I was reading this when I was feeling very, very tired, honestly. Like, I was pretty tired on Wednesday, so hence why I was like pretty much sleeping and being in bed for most of Thursday. So we'll see in the next few days if I come back to Changing All-Stars, how I feel about it then. To see how my thoughts and feelings about it go on. But right now, intrigued, but not overly excited. And then I did start reading Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This is Nnedi Okorafor's like literary debut novel, actually, even though it does have a sci-fi feel. So I think we're following Zelu, who is a Nigerian American disabled woman who is attending this wedding for her sister, but then she finds out that she's fired, that the book that she was writing, she's trying to get a book deal, got rejected, so she's trying to get a book deal for this book she wrote, and things are just not going well for her. So I think there's supposed to be a point in time when like she writes a story about AI and like robots in the future or something, and then like I think it booms or something like that. I don't know. I think that's what it is. I didn't look too closely on the synopsis because I was like, why should I look so closely? It's Nnedi Okorafor. Why on earth should I be asking more questions? Like, it's Nnedi Okorafor, I'm just gonna read it. Now, I didn't get really far into Death of the Author. I think I'm only like about 6% into it. Like, I read the first chapter, and I think I'm in the middle of the second chapter right now. And like, I'm definitely intrigued. I actually do like Okorafor's writing style, actually. It's not overly flowery, it's not overly lyrical, at least not right now anyways. It's pretty much straightforward. I really like the vibe. Yeah, I do like Zelu as well. So for anyone who wants to read a book featuring a disabled main character, this book has that for sure. Actually, Zelu is a wheelchair user specifically, if you're looking for that representation. So just let y'all know about that. And I'm definitely going to continue on reading this book. Like, I've been very excited to read Death of the Author. It was available on NetGalley as like a read now. And I don't know if it's still available as read now on NetGalley now. Even though the book literally came out actually on this Tuesday as I'm recording. So, whoopsie. But I'm in the middle of other arcs, okay? So, give me a break. But I'm definitely looking forward, though, to reading Death of the Author and finish reading it, actually. And also in the past few days, actually, there has been talks regarding the ceasefire deal between Israel and against Palestinian resistance. So the deal was announced on Wednesday, and then it was supposed to be finalized through the Israeli military cabinet, I think, but they pushed it to Thursday, delaying it for stupid bullshit reasons. And then on Friday, so today actually, the cabinet did approve of the ceasefire deal. So the ceasefire will be in effect on Sunday, January 19th. And it's going to be a partial one, though. And I have to talk about it because this is big news, actually. This is really great news, actually. But it's going to be a partial ceasefire, though. I think there's supposed to be, there's like few phases. So the first phase is like letting Palestinians be able to return to their homes, and Palestinian resistance would like return hostages, and then also though the IOF will be returning Palestinian hostages as well. All that in phase 1, and there's like a phase 2 to make a more permanent ceasefire. So even though there's a ceasefire going to be happening in effect on Sunday, it's only a partial one. It's not a full-on permanent ceasefire. There will be talks later on in about a month, I think, for permanent ceasefire. But right now it's at least a partial one, which is still good news, but I'm optimistic for better, at least, but it's, I'm just actually really upset about it, to be honest. It's like, wow, it took this long. It took this long for, a ceasefire deal. Like an actual legit ceasefire deal. It took over 400 days. It took over a year for the ceasefire deal. And also, what? Sunday, January 19th. Literally, Genocide Joe, the last day of office. Your very last day. You waited till the very last few days of your presidency. Because yes, Genocide Joe isn't a part of all of this as far as having the Israeli military cabinet even accept the ceasefire deal, okay? He's in on it too. So it took y'all this long? This long. That's just kind of where I'm feeling right now. It's like, as much as I'm like really happy they were at least having steps forward so that at least Palestinians can even go back to their homes and be able to rebuild, I'm mad. I'm very angry that it took this long. This long. And so many people, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians died. And it took y'all over a year. You know, it's just, that's where I'm feeling. Like, I'm happy to some extent. It is a ceasefire deal, and it has been officially been accepted, and it will go into effect on Sunday. But as we're waiting for the ceasefire to be in effect, though, Israel is still actively killing Palestinians, though, and Palestinian journalists. So, yeah, don't forget that. And even when the ceasefire does, this partial ceasefire is into effect on Sunday, there's other ways that the IOF can be still genociding Palestinians, not just with bombs, you know. There's other ways that they can enact more harm. But it is indeed a first step, at least, towards Palestinian liberation. So I'm very least happy about that. I'm just upset, though, that it took this long with this many lives. That's pretty much it, though. That's all I really have for y'all for the past few days, really. And I guess we can do a quick wrap up of like the books I've read during this 5 days. Didn't read as many books as I wanted to, but I think it's for the best. So first up, I did finish reading January's Stories of Love, Magic, and Betrayal by Aldi Blanket, because this one was 4 stars. Let's see, Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mossab Abu Toa. This poetry collection, I do recommend this one. I did not write this one. And then The Haunting of Tramp Car 015 by P.J. Clark. This one is a prequel novella to A Master of Jinn, and part of the Dead Jinn universe. I did enjoy my time with this. Gave this one 4 stars. And then I did finish reading Graveyard Shift by Alma Rio. I actually did change the rating, so it's no longer 3.5. I did change it to like a 3-star because again, upon further reflection, I'm just like, this is not really a strong novella. It's not strong enough to give to be a 4.5. I mean, not 4.5, for a 3.5. Because, like, I've read better novellas than this, and Emma Rio, I don't think I mean, as much as I did enjoy her writing style, the pacing and character work here is definitely a weak spot. And yeah, this was just not a successful novella. And then I like started other books. Like I started reading Death of the Author, Chain Gang All-Stars. But yeah, at least I started 2 other books. I didn't get a chance to continue reading Water Moon, which I wanted to continue reading, but I was just not in the mood, honestly, for that one. But anyways, yes, that is it, y'all. That's all I really have for y'all. Like this video if you like it. Comment down below any of y'all's thoughts on the books I've read. Just anything, really. Let's comment down below your thoughts. Like, how was the week for y'all? I know we're, like, already halfway through January. So, by the time, though, that this video goes up, though, we'll be a little bit more than halfway through January. But y'all let me know how's January so far. It's like a month for y'all. I don't know. Let's just check in with each other. Like, how was y'all's week? How are y'all feeling? And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to my channel and you like my vibe, maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you feel like it. And you made this far into the video, you're not really sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji to let me know you're here. Okay, you know what? We're gonna have 3 options. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all 3 options to choose from. Y'all can choose a tram car emoji for The Haunting of Tramcar 015. You can decide a robot emoji for Death of the Author, or you can leave me an axe emoji for Chain Gang All-Stars. Any of those emojis will work. Just any of them. All right, pick and choose. Anyways, thank you all again for coming onto my channel, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.